there. Today we have Jags on the show. Jags is a problem solver who is currently building innovative solutions to tackle population health management challenges at Deerwalk. Deerwalk is a Cedar Gate company, and he particularly enjoys interacting with his clients, with his customers, devising the features to address their pain points and executing on those pain points, right? So to build solutions for them. He's also a graduate of engineering graduate of Dartmouth College, and he's also he has worked as an information technology engineer from at real estate investing, private equity, and he enjoys music. He's excited about that. So we'll be probably asking a few questions on how he found the relationship between music and AI. But regardless, with that, we'll get started. Jags, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here. Thank you for making time. I know it's late in the day for you, so I appreciate you joining. Anything that I missed from your introduction? Anything else that you want to add?
No, that was a great introduction. Thank you so much for having me, Dhaval, and the Product Manager HQ community. It's a great opportunity to just talk about enterprise product management, which many attendees and viewers would relate to. So super excited, and yes, let's dive in.
Awesome, man. So what I'm going to do is I may be stopping my video just because you're the star of the show. So you're going to be there, and I may just stop my video so we can just focus on you. So with that, my first question for you, I'm just curious if you could share what is enterprise product management? What does that look like? How is that different from your traditional product management? And let's get there, and then maybe I want to learn after that, what does one do to become an enterprise product manager and things of that nature. But let's talk about what that is in the first place.
Absolutely, that's a great question, Dhaval. So enterprise product management mainly relates to product management for B2B businesses and product lines. So here you are managing products that your company or business sells to other businesses. So your end user is not any average internet consumer. For example, Instagram or Facebook, or as they call themselves now, Meta, they have a lot of B2C businesses where the end user is literally your teenage nephew or your parent or you yourself. But with B2B businesses, your end consumers are businesses who have their own clients, who have their own use cases. So enterprise product management mainly differs from any other type of product management because of this specific target audience that you are talking to. So one of the biggest ways in which this differs from any other product management is, firstly, how do you build a product and build enhancements to the product that will serve a wide range of client interests. Remember, since you are selling your product to businesses, each of them have several clients and their own interests. Sometimes their priorities can compete against each other. So it really depends on you as an enterprise product manager to take a step back, look at the use cases that are being presented to you, and come up with solutions that will address a range of use cases so that, firstly, you are not customizing your product to individual businesses. You're really building a product that is solving several client problems at once. And secondly, you have to constantly never lose sight of the forest for the trees, right? Always make sure that whatever solutions you build dovetail well with your company's vision. That is extremely crucial because in enterprise product management, the client does have a very significant role in shaping the future of your product. Remember, when you are selling to businesses that pay you, a single business could pay you in millions of dollars, they do expect to have a say in your product feature prioritization and your product's growth. So it's always a very delicate act of making sure that you solve their problems through your innovative solutions, but also ensure that everything dovetails well with your product strategy and your company's vision. That's the first and foremost thing, the first and foremost way in which enterprise product management is quite unique. The second most unique thing about enterprise product management is related to the first one, around evangelizing your product. You do not have access to billions of users like some of these consumer facing products like Instagram or Facebook do. So since you are the face of the product, you have to constantly evangelize your product in front of your enterprise clients. And that would mean getting on calls with them to show them walk them through how your solutions address their use cases. You also have to make sure that you document everything that you've done so that their broader client base can access the exact thought process behind your solutions. So when you communicate these enhancements you make to your product and your product roadmap, it's very crucial to succinctly summarize what you're trying to say for the C-suite. All right. So here you are talking to executives who may not be extremely technical, number one. Secondly, who understand their business and their clients very well. So your job is to simplify the explanation, but at the same time, build stories around how your product will help them achieve their objectives. That is business 101. And that is something that's very much at the forefront when you're talking not to the end consumer, but the executives of some of the largest companies in the United States and even in the world. So those are the two main ways in which I would say enterprise product management really requires you to be a well-rounded CEO of your product compared to any other form of product management.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's very well articulated. I've never heard it in that manner before. So thank you so much for bringing all of that texture to this discussion. With that, I wanted to dive a little bit into what are some of the traits or skills of an enterprise product manager that sets them up for success? What are some specific skill sets they need to be set up for success? And environment, also the environment, both the content and the context, right? Both the nature and the nurture. What does that look like for someone in that role to thrive?
Absolutely. That's a great question, Dhaval. And it's almost a constant process of becoming a better enterprise product manager on a daily basis. There is really no single course or academic study that will immediately make you a very thriving enterprise product manager. So some of the skills that you definitely need to succeed in such a role is, firstly, learning to understand the root cause of your customers' pain points. All right. When you are dealing with enterprise clients, as an example, I work as a product manager for the flagship healthcare analytics product at Deerwalk, which is now a Cedar Gate company. So we sell our product to a range of healthcare payers, that is organizations that pay for healthcare services. So these are health plans, third-party administrators, broker consultants, and even large employer groups. Now, when one of our clients comes up with a problem saying, hey, I have this use case that I really do not know how to solve for. I do not know how to present an analytics dashboard to solve for this use case. Your first and foremost requirement there as a product manager is really understanding, okay, you aren't able to get to this. What workflow are you following right now? Why isn't this satisfying your use case? What else do you really want to see? So really a series of questions that will get to their root cause. So the first and foremost requirement is basically unhindered, unbridled curiosity to get to the root cause of your customers' pain points, right? And secondly, as an enterprise product manager, the skill you need is really solutioning, coming up with solutions that are intuitive and that are visually appealing, and most importantly, something that will uh, be something that the end user can replicate to resolve other such use cases they may have, right? For example, if I really want to present an analytics report for a client to understand a particular chronic condition and how it's impacting their utilization and costs, my whole solutioning process would be structured around understanding why none of the out of the box solutions work for the client, and then build a solution that is, say, an analytics dashboard, which resolves not just the use case for this chronic condition, like say diabetes. I would want that same dashboard to work if an analyst comes to me next week and says, hey, I want to build a dashboard for, say, lower back pain, right? So you would want a solution that tackles a range of use cases. In this case, for almost every chronic condition, you'd want to have a generic dashboard which you can just customize at the end and provide to your clients. And thirdly, as I said, visually appealing solutions, which is heavily underrated in the enterprise space. In the consumer product space, UI UX matters a lot. Because that would really define the adoption rate and growth of your user base, especially when youngsters today are very much exposed to awesome UI, intuitive features. But with enterprise product management, you're talking about users who are used to a certain workflow, a certain UI UX framework, almost their entire professional career. So when you build solutions that are not only intuitive, but also visually appealing, that increases the stickiness of your product. And remember, in the enterprise space, when a client really chooses your product, they're trusting you 100% because they go through a lengthy RFP process, request for proposal. Then they get a demo of your product. Then they send you more questions. You respond to them. Then they have on-site working sessions before they decide if they want to be your client. So when you build such solutions that really stick with them, that makes it very much difficult for them to even consider moving away from your product and choosing some other business. So it's mainly a trust business on a people to people level, because you know your consumers, they know you well, they know your name. Some of them become good friends of yours. So building such features that really solve their use cases, but also visually appealing, massively underrated. So that kind of solutioning capability, I would definitely say skill that's required in this role is massive amounts of patience. Your end user could be removed from you by a level, right? Your clients may just provide the solutions to their clients. So you've got to have massive patience to understand, and empathy to understand where your client is coming from, what is their client's feedback, and how can you structure your processes such that it benefits everyone and makes it a win-win situation. So those are some of the main strategic level skills, I would say. You do require technical skills. I won't deny that. First and foremost, data querying capabilities. You should be able to leverage data to decide which features to build, which modules really require revamp in your application, depending on usage, and which clients' priorities really um, occupy different priority levels in your sprint planning process. So that kind of data-driven decision making is extremely required. I myself in my daily job, I use the Kibana tool quite a lot because our stack uses Elasticsearch. And if I ever have to query usage data to inform my product prioritization decisions, um, I definitely need to rely on Kibana, and you may rely on some other data query tool. Make sure you understand your tech stack, at least to the extent that you're able to make decisions. You would depend on engineering managers to understand the nitty-gritty of things, but always make sure you understand the basic information around your tech stack and how your data processes work, especially for us, since we are in the healthcare analytics space. Understanding Elasticsearch, understanding the process of processing data, bringing on new data types, these are very critical to my role and help me on a daily basis. And finally, never forget to be a power user of your own application. And that means not just solutioning features, making sure bugs are resolved, but also using your application as a first principle user so that you spot the pain points of users and get ahead of the curve so that you can be a better evangelist for what you're building.
My next question for you, Jags, is how did you transition into this role? What was that path like for you? And more importantly, if someone is a traditional PM or is in another industry and wants to move into enterprise product manager role, what are some of the things that they should pursue as a skill set or as a as a craft? What do you recommend?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So my path was, I was pursuing the Master of Engineering Management program at Dartmouth College, where I dabbled in a few projects which resemble product management. One of them, which anyone, even a student in an undergrad program could really benefit from, is look at the clubs in your university, right? You would definitely have a consulting club where real world businesses could come with their problems and seek solutions from you. So Dartmouth had such a graduate consulting group where I took up a 10-week gig as a consultant for a real world business that was looking to understand how they could improve their sales, how they could improve adoption of their online commerce marketplace and really retain most of their users going forward. So that was a great primer for me to understand how these different facets of a business work. How do you retain customers? What are the metrics you need to track as a business CEO? And I was working closely with that CEO to help them tackle those challenges and really turn their business around. So that sort of a consulting part-time gig is something that students can definitely use. I also did a project manager internship at this company called TomTom, which works in navigational technology. So my role initially over there was definitely as a data analyst / data engineer. But when you work on a project, you do realize that, hey, we built these cool apps to solve use cases, but you always need someone like a project manager who would define the milestones, set some timeline to deliver these solutions, reach out to the end user, show them your solution, get some feedback and reiterate. So those roles were undefined, and I really stepped in to fill that void, which helped me learn a lot about project management on the job, even though the internship was not formally a project manager internship. So one such internship definitely needs to be on your radar if you are in school and you're really looking to break into product management or project management, or even enterprise product management, to be very particular. If you are a product manager who is working on consumer products or some other sort of product, and you're looking to move into enterprise product management, my number one recommendation would be get in front of your users. Talk to the executives of your client companies, because these are the people who would look at you as the voice of your product when you're in enterprise product management. You are literally the brain of the product, because you decide where the product goes in terms of roadmap and execution. At the same time, you're the voice of the product. So you folks who are already product managers, you definitely are the brain for your brainchilds, but you need to get out there and be the voice of your product, get in front of clients, get in front of users, and really solve their use cases, build on their feedback, and really grow as a product manager. So those would be my recommendations. You would have a ton of useful resources that you could use, but I have always been of the viewpoint that training on the job, that is really getting trained by fire, is the best way to learn anything. And that goes the same, it's the same for this role as well.
Wow, very well said. Thank you so much, Jags. At this point, we would love to take any questions from the audience. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, post them in chat, or ask me to unmute you. I'm happy to unmute you, and we can have this interaction. So this is going to become interactive because of you, right? So please take that action. If you have any ounce of doubt, this is your chance to ask that to Jags in real time, right? So please do that. So feel free to raise your hand. And with that, I just wanted to ask you one quick question as people are gathering their questions or thinking of the question. How do you build trust with your tech partners? How do you build trust and influence with them? What are some of the ways you have found effective when it comes to building that relationships?
Absolutely. Once again, this is probably something that's massively not spoken about. It's quite underrated, which is the ability to build trust, respect, and even influence your partners, so that all of you are on a course that really helps the product and your clients, right? So the number one task I definitely undertake to ensure that I build trust and keep that trust going forward with my tech partners is first and foremost, ruthlessly prioritizing what is important for your product. No one, and I repeat, no one in your company is going to volunteer to do this job. This is where product managers are made. When they decide, okay, we have a ton of priorities that we need to do. We have a set number of resources. Clients need something done. Your resources know you only have so many hours in a given sprint. We follow the agile sprint methodology. Everyone depends on you to ruthlessly prioritize what's important for this month, what's important for the next 6 months, and what's important for this next 12 months, really having the micro and the macro level view. I personally find that there are quite a few frameworks that you could use for prioritization. Two of them that can be helpful that come to my mind are RICE and Kano. RICE basically stands for reach, impact, confidence, and effort. So you determine what's the reach of a particular feature, what would the impact be on the daily workflow, how confident are you regarding your estimates of reach, impact, and effort. And effort is basically the technical effort required to implement it. So that's a great way to assign a score to your features and decide what's an easy win that you could achieve quickly, what's something that's required but would take a longer period of time. So that RICE model definitely helps you. There's the Kano model, Kano. It's I believe it's named after the person who invented it. His last name was Kano, and it helps you bucket your features. What's table stakes. Which features do clients absolutely expect? That would be table stakes. What feature would be a satisfier? It keeps your product moving forward, definitely is something that clients may have thought of, but never really asked for it, and you've delivered that. You keep the product enhanced. Those are satisfiers. And the last bucket would be delighters. What completely blows your mind, right? If you had shown touch screen technology to someone who had just been used to seeing clunky desktops, that's a huge leap forward, and that would be a delighter. So bucketing features also helps you. Okay, I need some features from each bucket in my next sprint. So that kind of prioritization is where you build a lot of respect. When people see that this product manager can prioritize what's important and what's not, they know that you have their best interests in mind. Clients know you have their requirements in mind, and your team knows that you have their workload and their well-being in mind. Secondly, always making sure that I'm asking the right questions to my partners, whether it's the data managers or the engineering managers, or even the client success managers who interact with clients every day, making sure that you don't just interact with them and that's it, you just divide who does what work, but also dive into their problems, figure out how processes could be made more efficient, and how we can come together as a team to deliver something within the set timeline, and to resolve the use cases that are in front of you. And lastly, make sure you touch base with your team frequently. And this is not about asking questions. This is more about asking them how they are doing. We have an offshore development team, and they've had a rough year, right? We've seen COVID really disrupt everything, and COVID has had a disproportional impact in certain countries compared to the others. So I did make sure that I frequently touch base with my project manager of that offshore team, making sure that these team members are doing fine, making sure that they aren't burdened by what's happening around them, making sure their families are doing well, and really extending support, saying, hey, if something's really bothering you and you feel that this is too much to accomplish this month, let me know. We'll go back to the client, because that's what we do. As product managers, we are the face and voice of the product. We go back to the client, we provide them workarounds and ensure that they get their immediate reporting needs solved, but your team also has enough time to build features, push them out to production, and they have a life outside of the burgeoning priorities as well. So those are some of the processes I follow on a daily basis to ensure that there is teamwork that makes that dream work.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jax. That was so helpful. You shared a ton of knowledge with us, ton of information, ton of wisdom, so much value. So I really appreciate you taking time to join us today. Any questions? Now would be a good time to ask that. Otherwise, we'll be concluding the show. So any questions? And then while you're thinking of your questions, one last reminder that I'll be happy to share this tech primer with you course. All you have to do is mention Jagannath in a LinkedIn post, tag Product Manager HQ, share something you learned, and you will get access to the Tech Product Primer course instantly for free. So that's that. Any questions? Any questions for Jags? Any questions on the topic? If not, we'll be concluding the show. Thank you so much, Jags. Take care. Have a great evening. I wish you well. And this recording will be very popular with our audience, because it's such an interesting topic, and I really appreciate your time for sharing with us. So yeah, any last thoughts?
Thank you so much for having me here, Dhaval. This is a role where you often get so busy with the day-to-day aspects of delivering against your next deadline, you often forget to take a step back and look at what you do as a product manager. And this conversation actually made me step back and realize, okay, what are the broad, what are the things that I do on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, and how that all comes together to build a product. So this was really helpful for me as well, for introspection. And I hope these thoughts that I presented also resonated with all of you watching who may be product managers, maybe aspiring product managers, and hope we get to interact more via LinkedIn. So if any of you want to reach out, please feel free to reach out over LinkedIn, and we can connect on a range of topics. Thank you.
Yeah, and for those who are watching this on YouTube or Facebook, his profile information will be below this video. So feel free to check below the video description and you will find Jags' LinkedIn information. With that, I'll be signing off. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Cheers.